It's fantastic to have Stoos Connect as a kind of a birthday party. It is around 1 year after the first Stoos gathering last January, the beginning of this movement. As one of the 4 co-initiators, besides Steve Denning, Jürgen Appello, and Peter Stevens, I organized the venue, Hotel Stoos, in the small village also called Stoos. By coincidence, there are 2 interesting associations with the word Stoos and the location where Stoos is that I would like to share with you. First, the German noun Stoß, written with double S, but never mind, has the meaning of nudge or impulse. Second, the place where Stoos, this small village in the Central Alps of Switzerland lies, is not even 10 kilometers away from the Röösli meadow, the spot where the history of Switzerland has started as a movement when some 700 years ago, a few people wholeheartedly came together there to join forces to get freed from being under Habsburg command and control. That was a kind of a political step towards self-organization. For me, these analogies of the name and location of Stoos have quite a nice symbolism for our Stoos movement, haven't they? In the Stoos communique on the Stoos network webpage, you can read that organizations can become learning networks of individuals creating value, and that the role of leaders should include the stewardship of the living rather than the management of the machine. What could that mean? Learning networks of individuals, stewardship of the living. Let me have some views about these terms. What could be the meaning of learning networks of individuals? As human beings, we are deeply social creatures. Our species name is Homo sapiens sapiens, a creature that knows that it knows. Said that we have the highest form of consciousness, we are even self-conscious. We have a self. We have an identity. We are individuals. It is a central human need to simultaneously seek for good relations and autonomy. To be connected, but also free. Human communities, and therefore also companies, are so-called individualized communities. Communities or organizations that want to stabilize the behavior of their members via mechanisms of coercion are degenerated social systems. They are inhumane because they depersonalize their members and undermine their potential. The slide shows some statements of leading researchers. They all disapprove of the Homo economicus. In my opinion, if we agree that leadership has to do with people, and who doubts that, we definitely have to consider such kind of findings from disciplines that are engaged directly in the human nature. The machine age, with its hierarchical conception of the organization, caused a philosophy focusing on the use of resources with the aim of enhancing machine output and efficiency. This approach suppresses the human skills of being inquisitive, of finding creative solutions, and of unfolding potential. Command and control maybe works for obedience, but not for creativity and engagement. But we need companies that are organized to truly enable individualized communities, that is, learning networks of individuals to unfold human potential. Let's turn to the term stewardship of the living. The term is based on Joseph Bracton, an associate of Peter Senger's Society for Organizational Learning. Donna has mentioned him as well. For me, the importance lies in the idea to switch the logic of means and ends, as it is in traditional management. Profit maximization and the related shareholder value philosophy are the goals the ends in mainstream thinking. However, profits are non-living. It is just a matter. Stewardship of the living turns that logic. The goal and purpose of organizations are to serve people and the living nature and not to exploit them for profits. In this philosophy, profits are not the ends, but the means to a higher end to serve the living. Already Peter Drucker stated that profit maximization is meaningless and even dangerous because it elevates profitability to a myth. The purpose of a company lies outside of itself. It lies in the society because a company is an organ of the society. Thus, today's way of how the vast majority of organizations are led and organized fit to that. Just think at some of the underlying assumptions like Homo economicus, profit maximization, rigid hierarchies, job descriptions, and the more. The slide shows how the prevailing command and control management model can be displayed. Above, the organizational dimension with a hierarchical design, below the corresponding management processes with budgeting and the fixed performance contract, being the budgets that are incentivized to fulfill with all the dysfunctional behavior. This kind of management model is simply not designed for unfolding human potential. Indeed, the design is closer to a straitjacket to have control about the behavior of employees. How can people unfold their potential wearing mental straitjackets? As I am a representative of the Beyond Budgeting Roundtable, I would like to show what design we believe could support a learning network of individuals. It might be one possible alternative to get some impulses to transform from exploitation of resources to unfolding human potential. On the leadership and organization dimension, Beyond Budgeting has a highly decentralized, team-oriented network structure. Teams are greatly autonomous and self-directed. Leaders do not micromanagement, they challenge and ask questions, they give not the answers. Product orientation is replaced by customer orientation. Strong values and transparency is the glue of the company. W.L. Gore, the inventor and producer of Gore-Tex, may stand as an example into that direction. Within Gore, there are no titles and there are no line of command you have to adhere to. You communicate directly to everybody. Everyone can start projects. The projects are staffed by self-selection. So it is a lot of freedom to act. It is a good example for an individualized community with freedom to act and simultaneously emphasizing on good relations, a learning network of individuals. At the lower dimension, the Beyond Budgeting management processes are very flexible and adaptive. The goals are relative to competitors or peers. So they are not arbitrary or political, but self-adjusting to an external reference point. Planning is made in a rolling, dynamic and inclusive mode. For example, every quarter you are going to plan for next 5 quarters. It's about activities, not about numbers. Judgment of success is based on the dynamic relative goals and never on fulfillment on the plans. As one example, Swedish bank Svenska Handelsbanken has such kind of relative goals. For example, they want to be sustainably over average in profitability than their competitors. It is nothing about profit maximization. To be constantly over average means to them to have just an indication to have enough profit as a means to prosper into the future. If you really want to have a transformation, That means a paradigm shift of how organizations are led and organized. We cannot just do more of the same. It is not about improving the organizational approach. It is about changing the approach. The slide might indicate the big contrast of the different paradigms between exploitation of resources and unfolding human potential. And that is really what it is, a paradigm shift. Because doing more of the all wrong thing is not a good strategy. It will even make the situation worse. Remember Einstein's definition of insanity: doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Organizations don't need any more all-knowing heroes because they simply do not exist. They need to tap into the wisdom of the crowd, the collective intelligence to create options and variety to act in an ever-increasing complex world. That is why Stoos is so important, to connect the different movements to accelerate a tipping point in a dialogue to foster the unfolding of human potential. To do that, we need dialogue, exchange of views, listening, and last but not least, modesty. That reminds me of an important finding by Hans Wüthrich, a leading thought leader in management science in the German region. He says that there is a new modesty needed. It is the equanimity not to have to be right. A wise advice. So, dear Stoos people, we need joint forces, mutual support, encouragement and inspiration. Let us be vigilant and contribute to transform the business world. Let Stoos be a movement of movements for a dialogue to facilitate a tipping point to unfold human potential and creativity. Have a very interesting continuing Stoos Connect. Good evening and see you.